first day that I am getting out, and I'm going to put some boot leather to it. Got about a mile hike planned that I'm going to be on it's about 8/10 of a mile long bluff that is bordering the neighbor who has soybeans this year. And what I'm going to be doing is looking for fence crossings. There's a border fence that runs along that bluff, the top of that bluff. So I'm going to be looking for fence crossings where it looks like we've got a lot of deer movement, and some secondary trails that I know of historically where big bucks like to go. So strap in. It's going to be a good day of scouting. Hopefully we don't get soaked. There's a big rain front coming in, so no fancy cameras today. Just me and the GoPro, and we're going to take a hike and drop some cameras off. So let's go. The way this property is made is it's essentially one huge long ridge that dumps out into the river bottom, and you have fingers of woods that kind of come out to the top of the ridge along the road. What I want to do here is I actually want to walk up to that light pole, and I'm going to work my way kind of northeast along this bluff. And what I'm going to look for is good, slick, sort of hog trails that go off the bluff and onto the neighbor. I'm coming in here because I know historically where some of the better spots are, but I want to see here if there's anything I've missed in the past or anything new. If I find anything, I'm actually going to be sure to mark with a waypoint on DeerCast. And I'm actually going to go ahead now and start my path tracker. Forgot to do that. So I'm going to hit path tracker, open my settings, location, always, okay, path tracker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start tracking my walking path. That gives me a good idea of just how far I'm walking on this bluff. It'll tell me and show me exactly where I went, and then it'll save that, and I'll be able to go back and reference that later. Now, another thing you can think about when you're hunting a spot like this is that the deer don't just cross and go down, they also travel the length of the bluff. And so you can be sure that you can set up higher, which may be the better bet here. Set up higher, don't get so far down in here, and catch that crossing trail that runs along the edge of the woods. That way it kind of keeps all the action up higher. But this is the big concern right here. It's how steep that gets, how quickly. Even if the neighbor, which I'm pretty confident the neighbor would give me permission to get a deer out of there, even with that, I mean, you're having to go through a whole bunch of beans, and just trying to get in there is a pain. So I want to try to avoid that if I can. So I'm going to come on up here and come around the corner and see what I can find. I'm going to kind of blow this out. I'm going to go down here and show you exactly where they drop off in here. It's a pretty cool spot. But again, it's one of those places where stuff like that happens a lot. You cannot hardly get in here without rolling some kind of a rock. But I'm almost 100% confident that there will be a big deer in here at some point, especially because of the beans being in. The thing is that everything down there is plenty thick enough for them to just stay. That's what makes this spot really challenging. This is washed out big time from last year.
course, if I had my preference, there'd be a stand at the end of this draw, right along the edge of the bean field. But that's not what we're working with. I know that if I sat right here tonight, there would be deer on me. No doubt. I got a doe looking at me right now, right down the slope from me. You can see her ears moving. Anyway, I can see, plain as day, I can see those beans right out here in front of me. Oh, right here, up the next hill, there's a fence that's down. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to set a camera up in here somewhere. They're not coming down into this. They're coming up here just a little ways and trying to jump, and they're knocking the fence down. So great spot to put a camera. Look at this though. It's straight up right here. I don't know why I'm whispering, by the way. Everything here knows that I'm here. But here again, look. So in this particular spot, what they're doing is they're coming around that old fence and they're jumping right here. And what's happening is it's knocking the fence over. Fence stays bent. I'm sure they're coming down, just kind of filtering down this side. So I'm gonna come up here a little ways and see if there's a spot I can put my camera. This is just so steep right here. Getting a little more room in here now to hunt. And it's starting to kind of, the slope is getting less steep, more gradual, but it is more sheer closer you get to the edge. So this is one of those places that if you're gonna hunt those linear trails, and it sort of simplifies the process, because you could almost call this a small bench right here. And this is one of those spots that you could put a camera in and potentially have some pictures. But again, I'm looking for some pretty hard evidence, and it makes it a little tougher because we just had this big rain a few minutes ago when I was taking a stand down. It just absolutely poured, and makes it a little bit tougher to see and decipher what's active trail, what's water, what's runoff. Alright, so this is another spot I really like to hunt, but I've never really jumped in here. But it makes a lot of sense too, because I got an opening in the timber. There's an old rock pile right here. That's why we call it the rock pile. We've got down fence. We got several rubs from last year right in here. So I think I'm going to drop a camera here as well. It's interesting how once you drop all these cameras, how you can kind of triangulate where the majority of the sign is. And so what I'm finding is that most of the sign here is on this northeast end. The tough part is that I can only hunt this on a south, and that makes it really, really hard. Particularly a southeast is best, but it makes it really hard to get in here without getting busted. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop another camera right here. flashback is deployed. Put it more on that crossing right there. Alright, so now we're getting more into territory that I'm familiar with. This was a spot that, remember, what we're doing today is just looking for, taking inventory for an early season deer. And really, what I'm doing is setting my cameras up in places that I can pop in here with my saddle, not really bother putting any stands up or anything like that, because what I do here and what I've learned is that if I take a shot at a deer in this area and I blow this spot up, my early season is over completely. So this is one of those spots that I really just try to stay out of as much as I can. And like I said, I want to be in and out, mobile, basically bump and dump style hunting in this spot. Now, where I'm going to put this next camera is going to be the hottest spot on this whole bluff. And I'm glad I did this because it proves that to me. I can already see the trail forming right here. I can already see it. There's a deer in the field right there looking at me. Yeah, it's the same as it always is on bean years. This spot is absolutely insane. But the problem is, like I said, it's almost impossible to hunt in the morning before the rut. And yeah, see, they've got it. You can see the trail right here. That's the heaviest trail on the whole bluff. And I have a feeling I'm going to be back in here again. It just keeps, every year, it just keeps bringing me back over and over and over again. But the issue I run into is daylighting shooters. It's just so hard to catch them here before dark. So all right, so camera of the year right here, in my opinion, Spectre 4K. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing activated. Had what sounded like a really big deer blow out here. Got the camera set up. We're gonna get out of here. So basically, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my cameras are working properly, make sure their locations are set appropriately, and then I'm going to check my DeerCast integration, make sure they're located correctly there, and we're going to start watching. Next stop is northern Missouri. We've got some bean fields we need to put some revolvers in, and I'm looking forward to this season. This is the first time all summer that I can honestly say I've been really excited. So I hope you come along with me, and I hope you'll download DeerCast. Make sure you're getting everything set up right before your season, and we're gonna get out of here.